What do you get when you cross the neck of a giraffe with the body of a sea turtle and the teeth of a crocodile? You get Elasmosaurus, evolution's most bizarre marine experiment. This elasmosaurid plesiosaur lived about 80 million years ago in the Western Interior Seaway during the late Cretaceous period. At roughly 34 feet long, nearly half of that length was neck stretching an incredible 23 feet with a proportionately tiny skull that defied expectations. But here's what makes this story truly remarkable. When scientists first discovered Elasmosaurus, they literally couldn't tell which end was the head. This wasn't just a simple mistake, it became paleontology's most spectacular blunder, one that would expose the fierce rivalries and rushed conclusions of early fossil hunting. The discovery that would challenge everything scientists thought they knew about marine reptiles began in a dusty Kansas field in 1868. Edward Drinker Cope stood staring at massive fossil bones jutting from ancient limestone, expecting another routine marine reptile discovery. Instead, he found vertebrae the size of dinner plates stretching endlessly through the rock formation. The sheer scale suggested something unprecedented in the fossil record. The 1860s marked the height of America's paleontological gold rush. Scientists raced across the Western territories, desperate to claim the most spectacular discoveries before their competitors arrived. The bone wars between Cope and his bitter rival Othniel Charles Marsh made fossil science as much about speed and bragging as about careful anatomy. Each man wanted to be remembered as the discoverer of America's most magnificent prehistoric creatures. When Cope's team extracted the Elasmosaurus bones from the Kansas chalk, they found an extraordinary collection, dozens of elongated vertebrae, 4 massive paddle-like limbs, and a surprisingly tiny skull that seemed almost comically small compared to the rest of the skeleton. The holotype was fragmentary, and the reconstruction process presented Cope with a genuine puzzle. The vertebrae clearly formed an impossibly long chain, but determining which end connected to the skull proved challenging. Cope made what seemed like a logical decision at the time, influenced by his youth's lack of formal training and the novel nature of the specimen. He attached the small skull to what appeared to be the thinner end of the vertebral column, creating a creature with a massive tail and a relatively modest neck. When Cope unveiled his reconstruction, the scientific community initially received it with fascination rather than skepticism. However, doubts began spreading through paleontological circles. Joseph Leidy, examining the anatomy more carefully, flagged the anatomical error that Cope had made around 1869 to 1870. The small skull belonged on the opposite end entirely. Later, Marsh seized on this mistake as public ammunition in their long-running rivalry, systematically dismantling Cope's reconstruction with precise anatomical evidence and lampooning the error in the press. The revelation transformed Cope's greatest triumph into paleontology's most notorious error. Cope did little work on the specimen after 1870, and the fossil remained in storage for decades. The creature actually possessed the longest neck in the fossil record, not the longest tail. This spectacular mistake became a famous cautionary tale that increased scrutiny of reconstructions and highlighted the need for careful comparative anatomy and peer correction, helping drive more rigorous practices in the field. But the correction revealed something far more extraordinary than Cope's original interpretation, a creature whose very existence seemed to defy the laws of physics. The corrected anatomy revealed engineering challenges that seemed to make survival impossible. Elasmosaurus possessed a neck stretching 23 feet in length, containing 72 individual vertebrae. To put this in perspective, a modern giraffe manages its impressive reach with just 7 neck vertebrae. Nearly half of Elasmosaurus's total length was neck about 23 feet, which raised obvious mechanical questions about balance and buoyancy. Early skeptics calculated that swimming with such extreme proportions should have created serious hydrodynamic problems, with the forward weight distribution making controlled movement nearly impossible. Marine biologists studying modern aquatic animals knew that successful swimmers maintained streamlined profiles and balanced weight distribution. Dolphins achieved their speed through compact bodies and powerful tail propulsion. Sharks evolved sleek forms that minimized resistance. Elasmosaurus appeared to violate every rule that made efficient swimming possible. However, modern hydrodynamic research reveals that elongated necks did not necessarily increase drag when held straight, with drag penalties arising mainly when the neck was bent or swung. The neck structure itself provided clues to how this seemingly impossible anatomy actually functioned. Many cervical vertebrae were partially hollow or gracile, reducing weight while maintaining strength. These bones also bore crests for muscle attachment, creating a lightweight yet powerful system. The neck structure revealed additional surprises that complicated theoretical models. Unlike the flexible spines of snakes or eels, Elasmosaurus vertebrae connected through rigid joints that prevented coiling or dramatic curves. The neck could bend in gentle arcs, but sharp turns remained impossible. This limited flexibility initially seemed like a disadvantage, but detailed analysis revealed a different story. Rather than serving as a flexible fishing tool, the neck functioned as a precision striking mechanism. The rigid design allowed for controlled extension and retraction, creating a creature perfectly adapted for ambush hunting. The notably small skull relative to the neck housed large fang-like teeth at the front and interlocking teeth designed for seizing fish. This dental arrangement, combined with a diet of small fish and invertebrates, reinforced the ambush hunter interpretation. Advanced biomechanical research eventually revealed the truth behind this apparent contradiction. The creature was not a clumsy swimmer struggling with an oversized neck. Instead, it was a specialized ambush predator that used its unique proportions to strike from concealment. The body remained hidden in deeper water or shadows, while the neck extended upward in a modest arc to attack unsuspecting prey near the surface. The rigid structure prevented prey from detecting the approaching threat until the final moment. The neck's limitations became its greatest tactical advantage, creating a predator perfectly adapted for surprise attacks in the specific conditions of late Cretaceous seas. But this remarkable neck adaptation was only part of an equally revolutionary approach to underwater locomotion. Elasmosaurus belonged to a group of marine reptiles that evolved an entirely different approach to underwater movement. While nearly every successful marine predator relied on powerful tail propulsion plesiosaurs in general, and Elasmosaurids specifically used 4 large flippers for underwater flight rather than tail-driven propulsion. Their tails remained short and relatively weak compared to the massive propulsion systems of ichthyosaurs or modern sharks. This 4-flipper system represented a fundamental departure from the tail-driven approach that had proven successful across millions of years. Blue whales, great whites, and ancient ichthyosaurs all relied on vertical tail fins as high-performance propellers. Plesiosaurs abandoned this time-tested method for something that initially appeared less efficient but offered unique advantages. Elasmosaurus had large paddle-like limbs constructed from dense bone and cartilage that formed rigid structures specialized for producing thrust. Fossil evidence and biomechanical studies show plesiosaur flippers were built for power rather than flexibility. Computer simulations and robotic models suggest a 4-flipper-dominated stroke provided the primary propulsion, while other research finds coordinated 4-flipper motion produces more thrust and efficiency. These active research questions continue to refine our understanding of how these ancient swimmers actually moved through the water. The coordination between front and rear flippers resembled the wing mechanics of underwater flight more than traditional marine locomotion. During each stroke cycle, the front flippers pulled water backward, while the rear flippers provided additional thrust and precise directional control. This created a rowing motion that generated steady propulsion without the explosive power strokes characteristic of tail-driven swimmers. The system traded raw speed for something far more valuable in ambush hunting: unmatched maneuverability. This 4-flipper arrangement allowed Elasmosaurus to execute movements impossible for tail-driven predators. The creature could rotate in place, move sideways, or adjust position with remarkable precision while maintaining perfect stability. Such control proved essential when positioning for ambush strikes in the crowded marine environments of the late Cretaceous, where even slight movements might alert prey to danger. Some related elasmosaur specimens are found with gastroliths, and researchers have proposed functions from digestion to ballast. For the Elasmosaurus holotype, evidence is minimal, so gastrolith ballast remains a hypothesis rather than settled fact. The forward heavy body design may have required specialized solutions for maintaining proper buoyancy and control during complex maneuvers. Rather than competing with fast-swimming predators in open water chases, Elasmosaurus became the ocean's ambush specialist. The four-flipper system provided the precision and control necessary for stealth hunting in reef environments, deltas, and interior seaways where tight maneuvering offered tactical advantages. This unconventional swimming method transformed apparent evolutionary disadvantages into a perfectly adapted predatory system for the specific marine environments where these creatures thrived. Elasmosaurus was a notable predator in the Western Interior Seaway, a shallow inland sea that stretched across central North America about 80 million years ago. This highly competitive marine ecosystem hosted mosasaurs, other plesiosaurs, large predatory fish like Zephactinus sharks and sea turtles, creating an environment where maneuverability and stealth offered distinct advantages over raw speed. The creature's hunting strategy combined patient positioning with precise strikes. It likely hovered using slow, precise flipper strokes, keeping its bulk below or concealed, and using a gently curved, relatively stiff neck to reach and snatch prey. Its slender, interlocking teeth were well suited to grasp and swallow fish and squid whole. This evolutionary success story illustrates how science corrects itself through careful study. Cope's initial error and later detailed anatomical research together produced a richer, more surprising understanding of these ancient predators than anyone first imagined.